Greetings friends. Thanks for stopping by for a visit. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe.
I never thought I'd be the kind of guy posting stories on the internet. I spent most of my career as a deputy in a quiet corner of rural Nebraska, where calls were usually about stray cattle, drunk arguments, or kids tearing around on ATVs where they shouldn't. Nothing glamorous, nothing cinematic, just long nights, empty highways, and a radio that crackled more than it talked. We cover miles, sometimes whole townships, with fewer officers than big city precincts have on a single shift. If something went wrong, you handled it yourself. Backup might be 30 minutes away. I wasn't a believer in much beyond what I could see and document. Training taught us to focus on facts, evidence, witness statements, the physical world. Reports had to make sense. I logged hundreds of incidents, most of them mundane. I wrote citations, helped stranded drivers, and occasionally talked down families in crisis. You learn to stay calm and methodical. Emotions can come later. Looking back now, I realize that rural policing shapes you. The landscape is vast and quiet, which can mess with perception. Dark fields that stretch farther than streetlights, sounds carried on a wind, things you almost convince yourself you imagined. I never chased ghosts or conspiracies. I was just a deputy doing a job. But there were nights when the job didn't feel like it fit the rules. I thought I understood. The first call came in late, one of those quiet nights where the radio barely crackled and the county felt like it might sleep forever. A family out on a small spread of land reported seeing figures near the edge of their property. Not trespassers, they insisted. Not neighbors messing around. Shapes, moving in the dark. In rural Nebraska, calls like that were rare but not unheard of. People out in the country notice things, animals in the wrong places, shadows that look bigger under moonlight, nerves getting the best of them. I treated it like any other welfare check. Drive out, listen, document. The farm was a modest place, weathered siding, a gravel drive, cornfields stretching out in every direction. No streetlights, just the pale wash of my headlights cutting through the night. When I arrived, the family was waiting outside. They looked shaken, mother hugging her arms, father scanning the darkness like he expected something to step out. The kids stayed close to the porch. They told me they'd seen people on the property. Not one person, multiple, standing near the tree line, watching. When they described them, the details were thin, tall shapes, wrong movements, something about the way they disappeared when a light was shined in their direction. I searched. I walked the perimeter with my flashlight, checking the ground for prints, disturbances, anything. The soil was dry, the grass untouched, no signs of footprints or broken branches. I told them I believed they'd seen something, but I couldn't say what. That was the truth. People report strange things in the country. Most have explanations: misidentified wildlife, distance playing tricks, stress. I documented the call, reassured them I'd keep an eye on the area, and headed back to my cruiser. Nothing followed me. Nothing remained. Just the quiet of the night. Days passed without incident. Life settled back into its usual rhythm. Long stretches of quiet, routine calls, and paperwork. I heard nothing more from the family, and no neighbors reported issues. The department treated it as just another strange but inconclusive welfare check. I told myself that was the sensible view. People misinterpret things. Night plays tricks. Case is close. Life moves on. I moved on too, until the next call. It was another quiet night, the kind of darkness that feels thicker out there. No city glow, no distant hum of traffic. Just stars and the occasional rustle of wind through the corn. I was finishing paperwork when the second call came in from the same family. They sounded more urgent this time. Frightened. "We saw it again," the father said. "Not figures this time. Something else." I rolled out within minutes. The drive felt longer than usual, headlights cutting narrow tunnels through the dark. Cornfields lined the gravel roads, tall and dense, swaying slightly, though there wasn't much wind. Rural nights play tricks on you. Movement at the edge of vision, shapes that resolve into nothing when you look directly. I told myself that as I approached the property. When I arrived, the family was waiting outside again. They looked worse than before, faces pale, eyes wide. The mother kept glancing toward the field behind the house. The father tried to explain, words tumbling over each other. There was a light, he said, like a stadium light, out in the field. I frowned. There were no stadiums out there, just farmland. No permanent structures, no power sources that would produce that kind of illumination. I grabbed my flashlight and headed toward the edge of the property. At first I saw nothing, just rows of corn stretching into the darkness. Then, off in the distance, a glow. It wasn't steady, not like a floodlight or vehicle headlamps. It pulsed, bright, then dim, then bright again. Too high off the ground to be a truck, too focused to be moonlight. It illuminated a small section of the field, a circular patch of ground that looked almost unnatural in the way it stood out against the night. I stopped and watched. The light shifted. For a second it felt like it moved, sliding slightly across the field as if whatever was producing it had changed position. I raised my radio and reported what I was seeing. No immediate explanation. No known equipment in the area. Dispatch acknowledged and logged the call. Then came the sound. A rustling. Not the soft, rhythmic sway of corn in the breeze. This was sharper, discrete movements like something heavy brushing against the stalks. Corn is loud when it moves, but this was different. Intentional. I swept my flashlight across the field, beam cutting through rows of green. Nothing. No animals. No visible source. The hum followed. Low at first, almost beneath notice, a vibration more than a sound. It reminded me of distant power equipment, but there were no substations or industrial sites nearby. No transformers. No reason for that kind of noise. It grew louder the longer I listened, a faint but persistent drone that seemed to press against the air. I advanced a few steps. The illuminated patch of field was still there, glowing faintly. The corn inside it appeared darker, as if absorbing the light rather than reflecting it. I scanned for wires, equipment, anything that could explain it. There was nothing. Then, just as abruptly as it had appeared, the light vanished. No fade, no gradual dimming. One moment it was there, pulsing and strange, and the next it was gone. The field returned to darkness. The hum faded. The rustling stopped. I stood for a long time listening, waiting. Nothing. I checked the area as best I could, documenting what I'd seen. No physical evidence. No scorch marks, no disturbed soil, no broken stalks. Just corn, standing as it always had. When I turned to leave, I noticed something else. My cruiser. It should have been waiting at the edge of the property, headlights casting a pale glow across the drive. Instead, it sat silent, dark. The engine wouldn't start. I tried the ignition. Nothing. No turnover. No click. The dashboard lights flickered once and went dead. I radioed for assistance. No response at first, then static. I tried again. Same result. 5 minutes. That's how long it lasted. I sat there listening to the night. The hum was gone. The field was still. Eventually, the engine turned over as if nothing had happened. I left. I didn't have an explanation then. I still don't. The family filed another report. The department documented it. The dashcam footage, what Lila captured, showed the light in the field, a brief and unremarkable glow. No figures, no movement. Then the recording cut out. Later, I was told the camera was replaced and the footage taken for review by outside investigators. Men in suits, according to fellow officer, no insignia, no agency identification. They asked questions, collected the device, and left. I never saw them myself. Officially, the case went nowhere. Unexplained phenomena aren't evidence. Reports are just reports. That's how the job works. I finished my career eventually. Most of it was ordinary. Calls about property disputes, minor accidents, the slow grind of paperwork and patrols. The second incident never became a defining case in the department's records. Officially, it was inconclusive, an odd report with no verifiable evidence. The dashcam footage existed, then it didn't. Questions were asked, but answers never really followed. That's how rural law enforcement often works. Not every call resolves neatly. Not every report becomes a headline. People move on. Departments move on. I moved on too, telling myself that skepticism was the only sensible approach. I had seen something strange, yes, but strange things happen. Equipment fails. Perception falters. Night exaggerates. Still, I never forgot the details. The illuminated field, the rustling corn, the engine that wouldn't start. Small things, isolated things, none of them enough to build a case or draw conclusions. Years later, when I talk about the job, I stuck to the mundane stories, the human ones, the calls where we helped, even if only in small ways. Retirement gave me distance, time to reflect without the immediacy of radio calls and paperwork. I don't claim to understand what happened. I don't expect anyone else to. Stories like this invite strong opinions, belief, dismissal, everything in between. That's fine. I'm not here to convince. I'm here to document what I experienced as honestly as I can. Rural Nebraska remains a quiet place. Fields stretch to the horizon. Nights are still dark. Families still report things they can't explain. Most of it has rational answers. Some of it might. And some of it, well, some of it simply stays with you, a memory without resolution. You learn to live with that. You learn to move forward.
Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more stories like these, please like and subscribe.